Okay, I'm recording now. Sorry. Okay, I was just saying I started without recording, but I was just saying that I had done my research in terms of time management, and that I was assigned this as a homework assignment from my Elevate group. So I kind of put together everything that I read into this training. And so it kind of bounces around a little bit. And I actually am going to try something new, which is screen sharing, which is where you guys see a video clip that I have and stuff like that. So let's see how it goes. Okay, the first thing that I want to talk about is your why. So I know that nobody expected to come onto this training and talk about your why. And I really never thought of time management as related to the why. Never occurred to me. All the why trainings I've been to, all the time management trainings that I've been to, it never occurred to me to kind of link them. But like I said, I watched the virtual time management training by Melissa Darnell and Lisa Frizzell. And one of the things Lisa talked about was kind of connecting almost like your motivation, your why to your time management. So I just want you guys to keep that in the back of your mind. You know that I will not, like literally will not talk to a new consultant until they've given me their why. I won't do their training. I won't do their BBL. I won't do their anything until they've given me their why. I just want them to connect with the reason why they joined this business. I know everybody's why changes, but that's how important how strongly I feel about it. So just kind of keep in the back of your mind your why, and then we're going to kind of come back to it in terms of time management. Okay. And I'm going to keep looking at my notes because I did write down a few things and I don't want to forget. Okay. Mindset. Okay, so let's go. Actually, we're going to do a screen share. Again, give me a minute because I'm going to make sure. I want you guys to watch this video. Desktop. Jody was supposed to tell me if it was working, but...
And I can't see it.
You can't see anything? So someone else is going to have to tell me.
I can't see anything.
Hold on one second. Share screen.
I'm failing you.
That's okay. Okay, we did what's your why. Here we go. Slideshow. And Andrew had to like teach me how to do this. Catherine, can you see my screen?
There's a well-known story about a university professor who wanted to make a point about how we make the most of our time. The professor stood before his class with some items in front of him. When the class began, without speaking, he picked up a large empty jar and proceeded to fill it with rocks about 2 inches in diameter. He then asked the students if the jar was full. They agreed that it was full. So the professor then picked up a box of pebbles and poured them into the jar. He shook the jar lightly and watched as the pebbles rolled into the open areas between the rocks. The professor then asked the students again if the jar was full. They chuckled and agreed that it was indeed full this time. The professor picked up a box of sand and poured it into the jar. The sand filled the remaining open areas of the jar. Now, said the professor, I want you to recognize that this jar signifies your life. The rocks are the truly important things, such as family, health, and relationships. If all else was lost and only the rocks remained, your life would still be meaningful. The pebbles are the other things that matter in your life, such as work or school. The sand signifies the remaining small stuff and material possessions. If you were to put sand into the jar first, there is no room for the rocks or the pebbles. The same can be applied to your lives. If you spend all your time and energy on the small stuff, you will never have room for the things that are truly important. Pay attention to the things in life that are critical to your happiness and well-being. Take time to look after your health, play with your children, go for a run, write a letter to your grandmother. There will always be time to go to work, clean the house, or watch TV. Take care of the rocks first. The things that really matter, set your priorities. The rest is just pebbles and sand.
Okay. Now, hold on. Wait, let's see if, oh no. Hold on. You guys are still seeing you don't see me, right? You don't see me, right? You see my screen? Okay, hold on one second. I'm trying to figure it out. One moment.
I'll go drag on Gary to throw me in both and shoot on me. Don't tell him. That's simple.
I'm like technically challenged. It's going terrible.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm technically challenged. Hold on.
Andrew, help me.
No, because I don't know how to get out of this. Hold on. Stop share. Okay, are we back? We're back. Okay, guys. Okay. Sorry, I told you I'm technically challenged. No, I got it. I'm good, Andrew. Okay, so you guys probably have seen that before, and most of you have probably heard about rocks, pebbles, sand, but we're going to go through it, and then we're going to go through a few pieces of it. So it's really not right. My family in the background. Okay, so talk about priorities. So what are the rocks? As they said in the video, the rocks are your family, your health, and your relationship. Your pebbles are your work. I put workout, and I'm going to show you guys a calendar that I made, actually, your workout. Anything that is like super important to you, but not those real strong rocks. And then the other stuff is the sand, and that's kind of the filler. So I actually made a whiteboard. I'm actually just going to show you. I'm not even going to try to screen share again because that was a disaster. Okay, so one of the things that we had to do for our Elevate Challenge was to make a whiteboard. I had never had one before. I bought it from Amazon. Let's see if I can get a picture. Get it here. I don't know. Wait, let's see. I don't know how much you could see it. But anyway, I bought it from Amazon. And it basically is a humongous whiteboard. And it has your week. And then in your week, you fill in basically your rocks, your pebbles, and your sand. So my rocks are going to be anything, obviously, that has to do with my kids. Aiden has an appointment tomorrow. Halloween stuff on Tuesday. At the end of the week, we have something at my mother-in-law's house. So anything that has to do with your family, with your rocks. Then I have my exercise stuff for my pebbles. And then I have, you guys, I don't know how much you could see, but basically I have for my pebbles all of my stuff that has to do with Rodan and Fields. So I have on Thursday, obviously, our new product is coming out. So on Wednesday, I have for myself to email all of my PCs. Then on Thursday, for me to text them. Then I have where I'm going to do my birthday reach outs, which are my, income producing activity. I have some of my calls. So all of that kind of stuff. And then you see my smaller stuff. I don't really have that much. I put laundry down there, and then I'm getting my eyebrows done, which is, kind of not a big deal. Okay. So we'll see how the whiteboard goes. Like I said, the whiteboard is brand new. It was part of something we did for Elevate. But I do think that it really made me think about the rocks, the pebbles, and the sand, and kind of to spell it out. Okay, so you guys need to think about, or I would encourage you to think about, who and what are your rocks, okay? Everybody has their most important, their significant, and then their pebbles. We're working Rodan and Fields. What are our pebbles? How do they fit in? And then the sand, like we say, like the manicure time, the TV time, the shopping. We can come back to sand, actually, because sometimes we take some of the sand away when we're doing our priorities and when we are doing our time management. So that's the other thing. Okay, we're going to shift topics for a minute, and we're going to go to hours of operation. So you guys, I'm sure I've heard this before, but it always has to be part of time management. What are your hours of operation? Now, when I was listening to the training from Vegas, from Melissa and Lisa, they pointed out, and I've heard this before, but it kind of just rung true for me, that some of us who work full time, who have little kids at home, who, are just juggling a lot of things, we have set hours of operations. So between A, B, C, D, this is when we're going to operate our business. But I have older kids, as you guys know, and this is my main job. I only work 1 day a week out of the house. So for me, I have hours of non-operation. So I used to tell you guys last year that between 3 and 6 was always homework time. Now this year it's different in my house. We travel further to go to our rink, so I even have a little bit more flexibility. But what I set for myself are those off hours. Even on the weekends, like I'll just set some hours where I'm not working, as opposed to the hours that I am working. But you have to decide what's right for you. Do you have a situation where you have 1,000 bazillion things going on and you need to set those hours that you are actually working and doing that income producing activity? Or do you need to set that time out for yourself? These are my work hours, and this is when I'm actually not working. So decide for yourself. That'll be a big piece of your time management. Okay. Let's see what's next. Hours of operation, either way be clear. Okay. And make sure that your time, like I said, fits around your rocks. Coming back to the rocks. Okay. The next thing I feel like is a big thing in time management is organizational systems. So how do you kind of keep your priorities? Having systems just helps you because you're not always going back and forth and recreating your reach out list or your invite list or anything like that. So I have a few systems in place. All right, I'm going to risk it one more time, and I am going to share my screen because now I know how to turn it off. So I'm going to share a screen, and I'm going to share with my desktop, and I am going to go to PowerPoint. And I am going to, share screen. And I'm going to go to here. Oh, that's my planner. Okay, that's my planner. So you guys can see more of the rocks and pebbles and all that. Okay, so here's my reach outs. And I'm just going to text Jody, can you see? Let's hope that she says yes. Okay, so I have systems I have a few systems things. I have systems for my reach outs. I have systems for actually my like incentives and rewards for my team. And I have systems for, one more thing I have systems for, new consultants. Okay. Oh, Jody said she doesn't have video. All right, well, if somebody can just text me and tell me that they can see my screen, that'd be great. Okay, so here's my system for the reach outs. I always do the birthday reach outs. And this might seem like I talk about this all the time and it's redundant, but here's the
all
thing. Good. You can see it? Yes? Okay, thank you. Here's the thing about the birthday reach outs. I feel like they're just a way to touch base with all of my Facebook friends throughout the year. So each week I look at whose birthday it is and I will reach out, take a day, and I take an hour or so, it's long. And this is part of my income producing activity. I will reach out to everybody that has a birthday. Maybe I will reconnect with them because we already were having a Facebook conversation. Maybe I'll offer them a mini facial. If they've like ignored me forever, I'll offer them a mini facial and maybe they'll say yes to that. Whatever it is, I will touch base, even if I just say happy birthday, but it's just my way of doing reach outs to touch base with each person on Facebook, okay? So that's part of my system, is that I know every week I'm gonna do that. The other part of my system is that I use a planner. Believe me, I know that planners don't work for everybody and everyone has their own kind of system for this. But I feel like just make sure you have your system. So in my planner, I write down day by day, and actually this was part of a challenge we did with Lisa and Melissa like a year or two ago that we had to do this planner thing, and it really worked for me, so I kept it. But each day, literally on the calendar, I will write down the people that I reached out to, and then I'll highlight the ones who kind of reacted or reached out back, and so I know to continue the conversation there, okay? I have here, highlight anyone that engages. The other thing I use my planner for, and you guys know this, is that I write down all the business presentations because I like to share that with my team. And I know that that's also part of my system, is that each week I will write down all of the live business presentations for you guys. Okay, so I also have 2 binders. And again, everybody do this in the way you want, but it's just part of my system. I have A to Z, like the tabs that you buy in Staples. Everyone I've ever met, that's like your big list. And I also have an A to Z, same with the tabs from Staples, everyone that I've had a conversation on Facebook with. Okay, so that's my system for reach outs. I'm happy to share it with you, but I know that you guys have your own systems, but it's part of time management to know what your system is. Okay, I also have a system for new consultant training. You guys can see this later on. I can obviously take a picture of this for you, but I won't talk to them until they do their why statement. And then I have them do their dirt calls. I have them set up their BBL, of course. I want everybody to watch the Sarah Robbins videos. I want everyone to make their lists, their big lists, who they're inviting to their BBL list and their dream team list. I always give everybody an order form. I want them to be familiar with that. The RNF lingo, it's just one of my favorite things that I give out. I give them something to read on the products and also a product video that I recently got my hands on. I give them the ingredient list and I announce them on Facebook. And I also actually ask them to follow their sponsor, which is me, or someone else on Facebook. So it's basically 10 things that I am giving my new consultants, okay? And the reason why it's good to have a system like this is because then every time I get a new consultant, I'm not like, what should I do first? Who do I do? I have my 10 things. I know that if my consultants do this and they are in action, they will be successful in this business. I know for a fact. So I have these 10 things in my system. Okay, let's see what's next on my slides. Otherwise, I'm gonna stop sharing now. Hold on one moment. Okay, you're back. You can see me, Catherine. You can shake your head. Yes, hi. Okay, all right, great. Okay, so those are my systems that I have in place, and I also have a system that I do for rewarding. I usually do like something special for level 2, and then obviously for level 5. And when somebody gets to Premier, I'll tell you what I do for that too. So that's my systems that I have in place. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about, now that we know that we have our rocks, our pebbles, and our sand, and our pebbles are going to be pieces of Rodan and Fields. When we actually decide to work those pebbles, that's going to be our time to the pebbles, what are we doing during that time? Like, say I blocked out 4 hours or 1 hour today to work Rodan and Fields. Okay, that's my pebble, that's what I'm doing, but how am I doing it? So now we're going to get to the 80, 15, 5 rule. I know everybody has heard this before, but I want to go over it in a little bit of a different way. So the 80% is what we call income producing activity. We are now calling it, wait, I have it written down, BBA, business building activity. So that business building activity is going to be 80% of your Rodan and Fields time, okay? 15% will be spent on your team, training your team, three-way calls, any coaching calls, and 5% on your personal development. So I broke it down a little more, and I just gave you a little bit about what I do for what I mean for business building activities. Okay, so those include, let me just back it up for a minute, because this is another highlight for me from the training that I watched in terms of the business building activities. Before you sit down and you decide this is my hours and this is when I'm working and this is what I'm doing, you need to just kind of set your mindset. And I think that this also dives and kind of comes back into the why, because our mindset is what's going to push us towards actually doing the income producing activity. And especially for those of you that have the short blocks of time. I have more time. I'm home. I can do laundry. I can come back up and do work. I mean, I have a different situation. But for those of you that are working, that are juggling, that are really squeezing this in, you can squeeze it in, but make sure your mindset is there so you know why. So let's come back to our why you're working this business, and you know that you are dedicated to this business. And one of the things that actually Lisa said on the training that really hit me is she said, because she's a very big believer in mindset and belief, as am I. And she basically said, what are the things that are driving you and what are the things that are stalling you? And I think that those are things that we need to look at really when we're doing our business building activities. Okay, so if your mindset is non-negotiable, then your business building activities are happening during those blocks of time that you're working. So you're doing your PC connections, making sure your PCs are happy, and in these months, making sure your PCs know everything about the new products. Are you doing your 5 new reach outs every single day? I really try. I'm not going to lie. I do not do them every single day, but I know that when I do them, my business propels forward. So those 5 new reach outs every single day, whether it's giving out mini facials to 5 new people, whether it's finding 5 new people on Facebook to reach out to, whether it's literally pulling a school directory that I haven't pulled in years and just looking up people who I used to be in touch with and messaging them, whatever it is, I know when I do those 5 reach outs every day, my business is jumping forward. Okay, so it's keeping in touch with your PCs, the 5 new reach outs, inviting people to events. That's definitely a business building activity. Hosting events and planning them. That's definitely a business building activity. Doing virtual events, planning those. And also I always put having coffee with new people. I always feel like if you can meet people face to face, that is the best way to talk about Rodan and Fields. Okay. So those are my business building activities. Those should take up 80% of that pebble that you call Rodan and Fields. Okay. Okay. I also took this from another training. It's tips to keep track of your business building activities. So to-do lists, we know we love those because it feels good to cross them out. They suggested a timer. I've never done this, but different things work for different people, like a timer of when you're doing your activities. So you're not like getting distracted, scrolling on Facebook, whatever it is. You are just 100% focused during that time that timer is on. Being mindful of distractions. Hi, okay. Love you. Being mindful of distractions. So if you know that you are going to be on Facebook and do your reach outs, but every time something pops up that someone posted, you are going to be looking at that, turn that pop-up off, or whatever it is, just to be mindful that when you are in that 80% of your time, you are not scrolling through, you are not, being distracted. I'm fully guilty of being distracted. Let me not tell you differently. But I think that when you think about it and when you are mindful of it, and I can do this too, I will really set my mind to it, then it just keeps going for me, and then I can really be focused. And the other thing that was part of this, how to keep on your business building activities, is to have a dream board. I know a lot of you guys do. I have mine here. Let's see if you guys can see it up close. I don't know how much you can see it. But anyway, you guys know my dream board was always decorated with Lexus's, like beyond. And then I told you all that I changed it after July 1st. And so now, of course, what am I reaching for? I'm reaching to hit elite. But really what I'm reaching for is to strengthen my, I guess my team in general, but really to strengthen my level 1, my directs, because I really want to focus on the duplication and it going down. But of course I still have my dream board, still would love to hit elite, and I will, as you know. Okay. So those are the BBA. Then the time on your team, the 15%. Now this is the hardest piece. Okay. Because if you have a team, you know that it's very easy to be sucked into putting all your efforts onto that Facebook page and doing their trainings and doing things for them. And I am the first person that is guilty of that. You guys know how I feel about my team, and I love pouring everything in. But I will say that, it comes kind of from the top. I would say from Melissa and Lisa also, that when you are doing your Lexus run, that 80-15-5 changes because you are putting more efforts into your team and more incentives, and it's exciting for your team and you're engaging in that excitement. And then after your Lexus run, you still want to be engaging, but you absolutely cannot put all of your eggs on that and in that. Oh, Jody's on.
Hi, got it.
Finally. So I think that 15%, I kind of, after Lexus, needed to shift back to that 15%. And it's hard for me because you see, like, I really do like to give all my ideas and share everything with my team. But in a way, I'm trying to be coachable and listen from the top and know that I can still be present for my team, and I can still do all the 3-way calls, and I can still do the coaching calls. And like it says here, I can still spend time on the page and time on planning events. But I need to be super focused on that 80% of propelling my business forward. Okay, I think that's it on the 15%. And then the 5% is the personal development. And by that, it means that, and by that, it means, they mean the personal development business-wise. So your Rodan and Fields time, 5% of your Rodan and Fields time should be focused on listening to the daily experience, reading any kind of motivational books, any kind of books about the business. And I think maybe those 2 things I had. There's something else. But anyway, those are the things that we consider for personal development. Okay, so just to review, the 80% of what you spend on your Rodan and Fields time is for your business, is your reach outs, your inviting, your planning, everything for your business. 15% is loving on your team, and 5% is loving on yourself, giving yourself that personal development. Okay, moving on. Another thing that's huge with time management is empowering your team. So I kind of talked about this just now when I talked about after the Lexus run, kind of, backing away from putting all of my efforts into the team. And I think that by empowering the team, it's doing 2 things. One, it's taking time taking things off your plate because you're giving them to your other team members, and it's making more time for yourself, for your own time management, for your own business building, excuse me. So I think that a few things to empower your team. The first is, I'm sure the leaders have all heard this, but it's called the 2-hour rule. And the 2-hour rule means that if somebody in your downline comes to you with a question like, which reverse is for dark spots, you don't answer them for 2 hours, because they can find that information in the business development library. Or if somebody comes to you and asks you, do you know, what ingredients are in blah, blah, blah? Well, I give every single person that starts with me an ingredient list. They should have that. They should know that. If in 2 hours they can't find the answer, I'll text them back and be like, did you find what you're looking for? But that's a really good way to not waste your time that you're working, is to implement the 2-hour rule with your team. Okay. The other is asking for volunteers to manage things. So I did this, I don't know, I guess this is October. So in September, I asked for volunteers who wanted to step up their game, and they led a power hour for me. And it's just things like that. So these are things that are taking things off my plate so that I can spend more on my own business. And they are putting the power in other team players and empowering them, which will in turn, they will become leaders. When you feel knowledge is power, we all know that. So when they feel better about it, they will then become empowered to be their own leaders. So it kind of has the dual, but it definitely has to do with time management, that you are empowering your team to do things without you. And believe me, again, this is a hard one for me. I like to answer everything. It's at my fingertips. I know it right away. So easy for me, but I know that I need to empower my team that way. And I know that I need to focus more on my 80% instead of my 15%. Okay, so let's see. Let me just say one more thing about newbies, about empowering your team. So you saw my newbies. You see I have a system for my newbies. So also the other good thing that I like to ask my newbies to do is to kind of surf Pulse. And I don't do like a training, like let me sit down for 6 hours and train you on Pulse. I don't do that. Some people do, and that's totally fine. It's your time. But what I do is I give them those 10 things, and then I tell them, I mean, of course I walk them through their first order, obviously, but then I tell them, have a good time, go surf around Pulse, see what it's all about. That's what I did. When I came into this business 3.5 years ago, you know what I did? Every night, literally, I was in Pulse looking around. I had that curiosity. I just wanted to know everything. And then you know what else I did? I would go to other Facebook pages that Amanda had added me to, and I just read through them. You know why? Because I wanted to see the questions that other people were asking, so I would really have an idea of like what this business was about. So encourage your newbies to do that kind of stuff for themselves. Again, it frees you up. Okay, so these are the ways of empowering your team. Okay, so now let's go back to the why. Hold on one second. What is holding you back on this Friday? Oh, I know what else. Okay. All right. So back to the why, and back to kind of tying it all in together. I probably have only 4 more minutes on my Zoom because I have the cheap version of Zoom. But anyway, really connecting with what is, yes, your why, but then more, what is your driving force? So what is pushing you to manage your time? And when you connect with that, you will be able to put these things into place. Like I gave you some concrete examples of ways that you can manage your time, and of ways that you can just do things that will decrease responsibility from you. And free you up again for those business building activities. So I gave you some concrete stuff. I gave you my systems. I'm happy to share any systems with anybody ever. So if you have a question about systems, let me know. But really looking at, what is kind of that sand that's getting mixed up with the pebbles and rocks? And is there some sand, some other stuff, some material stuff, like anything that's out there that you can say, wait a minute, I want to move that sand away right now because I'm focusing on my business. This is my pebble. This is what I'm doing. This is my reason for doing it. And I want to drive forward with that. Okay. Another thing that they talked about in the trainings that I watched was, and I do this, so this is why it's like kind of weird, not weird, but whatever, for me, is that why do we always and Jody always is like, eat your vegetables first. Like, why do we always go for dessert first? Well, you know me, I'm a sweet person, so that's obviously one thing. But also, when I get online, I definitely don't go first to be like, let me do my new reach outs. Let me get to my chicken lister. I don't do that. And that's what we need to do. It's the eating the vegetables first. So I think that when it comes back to the why and we circle it back to there, then we push ourselves past that resistance to get to that business building activity. And when we're at that business building activity for the right amount of time, then our time management is ours. Okay, let's see if I have anything else. I have one more picture I want to show you. The only other last thing that I have here is kind of just making that decision, committing to your business. Like I said, putting it back to your why, and don't hold out from being all in. There's no reason. There's only good stuff at the other end of this journey. You guys know that. So here comes someone else. Oh, that's Ash. You guys have seen everybody tonight. Okay, let me show you one more picture. Let me do one more time share. Okay, Ash. Hi, Ash. Okay. And they're all saying hi. Okay, hold on. I'm doing one more screen share. And this picture. Yeah, why? Why? What do you need?
Nothing.
Oh, nope, not Excel. Nobody needs to see all my numbers.
Yours.
Okay, here's our 1815, 8015.5. Okay, so this is, this I actually got from Jennifer, the woman who's running our Elevate Challenge, and it just kind of recaps what I talked about on the training on the 8015.5. So she talks about basically about like looking at what you're doing your actual, what you're doing now in terms of the hours and how much you're putting into it. So managing personal PC loyalty, we talked about that. Facebook prospecting and marketing, we talked about that. Lifestyle prospecting, we talked about that, about meeting for coffee, all of that, and other income producing activities, okay? So those in that darkest blue, that should be your 80%. And then your 3-way calls, your coaching with your team, and you're coordinating attending team events, managing your Facebook page, and I guess communicating with your team via email and messaging. That all is your 15%. So that's where your team stuff comes in. And then here's the personal development down there, and that's kind of, your choice. So that is the last thing that I have, and it's good because there's less than a minute on my free Zoom. So I'm going to stop share. I'm going to come back. And because there's less than a minute, I'm not doing questions, but what you guys should do is go to the, actually, I'll put a thing. I'm going to make a question. I'm going to put a post up in Lace Up, because if anybody has questions, I know a lot of people are watching this, going to watch it recorded also. If anybody has time management questions, put them out there. I'm sure other people have them too, and then I will answer them to the best of my ability. Okay, guys, bye. Thanks for dialing in.
Thank you.
Bye. Recording off. End meeting.